Tonight, you are not going to fall asleep alone. As you lie in your bed, feeling the familiar weight in your chest and that buzzing in your mind that won't switch off, this story will walk with you. It will lead you into a different kind of night, a night where you don't have to fight your darkness by yourself, a night where Jesus and the Buddha walk beside you through your wounds, your fears, and your inner shadows, until your body finally lets go and drifts into deep, healing sleep. For a moment, just notice where you are. Feel the mattress under your back or your side. Feel the weight of your legs, your arms, your head resting on the pillow. You don't have to move. You don't have to fix anything. Take a slow, gentle breath in through your nose and a longer, softer breath out through your mouth. Again, in and out. With every exhale, let your shoulders drop just a little more. Let your jaw soften. Let your tongue rest comfortably in your mouth. The day behind you can stay behind you now. All the unfinished tasks, all the conversations, all the worries, they can wait. You've carried them far enough for today. You turn your head slightly and look into the darkness of your room. Normally, it's just darkness, flat, empty. But tonight, something feels different. The black around you is deeper, softer, almost velvety. It doesn't feel like a dead space. It feels like a curtain, like there is something on the other side of it. You hear it then. Not a loud sound, more like a faint chime, as if someone far away has gently touched a small bell. The sound fades quickly, but the feeling remains. It's as if the air around you has quietly changed its shape. You blink slowly. When you open your eyes again, the ceiling is gone. You are still you. You still have a body, but you are no longer in your bedroom. You're standing upright on smooth, warm stone. The temperature of the air is perfect, not cold, not hot. It feels like that moment when you step into a room that has been waiting just for you. In front of you stretches a long corridor, disappearing into a soft, blue-black distance. On your right side, there is a row of dark wooden doors. On your left, a row of lighter doors, almost white. Above each door hangs a small symbol, a tear, open hands, a pair of eyes, a heart with cracks, a tiny flame, a seed, a winding path. You don't know exactly where you are, but strangely, you're not panicking. Your breathing is still slow. Your body still remembers the bed. This place feels like an inner landscape, like you have simply stepped deeper into your own night. Just keep breathing, you think, in and out. Your bare feet touch the warm stone. Each step you take is silent, but you feel it clearly. This corridor wants you to remember that you are not just a mind full of thoughts. You are also a body that deserves rest. You begin to walk. There is a quiet, patient stillness all around you. Nothing jumps out. Nothing threatens you. The doors simply wait, each with its small symbol, like different chapters of your life. After some time, although time feels strange here, you notice one door that feels different. It's simpler than the others. The wood is neither very dark nor very light. There is no symbol hanging above it, no tear, no heart, no flame. There is only a single golden ring where the handle should be. You pause. Something inside you tightens. A familiar reflex wakes up. Don't open this. Don't go where you can't control what happens. Don't feel more than you already do. But under that reflex, something softer is stirring. A tired part of you that whispers, "I'm so exhausted from running. Maybe it's time to see what's behind this door." A gentle voice speaks behind you. "Go on." You turn around. A few steps away stands an old monk. His head is shaved. His robe is simple, the color of earth after rain. His face is lined with age, but the lines look like they were carved by years of real laughter and real tears, not by bitterness. His eyes are dark and very clear. He looks at you the way you wish someone had looked at you a long time ago. Calm, without judgment, without hurry. "Who are you?" you ask, surprised by how steady your own voice sounds. "I am the one who walks with you," he says quietly, "not the one who decides. That is always you." He nods toward the door with the golden ring. "Behind this door," he continues, "lies a night you have tried to avoid, wounds you prefer not to touch, questions you keep pushing away. But there is also light there, the light you have been asking for, in every tired whisper and every sleepless hour." You swallow. "What if it hurts?" you ask. He looks at you with a kind sadness. "Does it not hurt already?" he answers softly. "You've been carrying this closed door inside your chest for years. Perhaps opening it will hurt differently. Perhaps it will hurt less. Perhaps it will finally begin to heal." You look back at the golden ring. Your hand feels heavy, as if it already knows that touching this handle is not a small thing. Your fear starts to list all the reasons not to do it. What if I see something I can't bear? What if I meet someone I'm not ready to face? What if I find out that I really am as broken as I'm afraid I am? You take another slow breath. Remember your body, your real body lying safely in your bed. Feel the invisible weight of the blanket over you. Feel your chest rising and falling. No matter what you see here, you are still resting. You are still breathing. You are still held by the mattress under you. You exhale gently. You are tired of running. Tired of pretending that if you work hard enough, scroll long enough, distract yourself cleverly enough, the weight will vanish by itself. It hasn't. It doesn't. Your fingers reach forward and close around the golden ring. It is warm. The door opens without a sound. On the other side, there is no small room. There is space. You step through and find yourself on a small round island made of rich, dark soil, floating in a vast hall without walls and without a ceiling. Above you stretches the same starless night, deep and endless, almost like a living presence watching silently. In the center of this island stands a single tree. Its trunk is thick and old, steady and grounding. Its branches reach outward like open arms. The leaves give off a soft inner glow, shifting between gentle shades of green and gold. The tree feels ancient and kind, like it has been waiting here long before you arrived. Under the tree stand two figures. You see them clearly now. The first wears simple, light-colored clothing. No crown, no symbols, no show, just a quiet, human presence. His hair falls softly around his shoulders. On his hands, you see marks, wounds where nails would have been, but they don't bleed. Instead, they shine with a warm golden light. His eyes meet yours, and in them, you feel something you almost don't know how to handle. He has seen every part of you, and he doesn't turn away. The second figure wears robes in deep orange and soft brown. His head is shaved. His posture is relaxed, completely at ease, as if he has stood here for thousands of years without getting tired. His eyes are calm and wide and still, like a lake with no wind on its surface. When he looks at you, you feel seen all the way through, and strangely, you don't want to hide. You know their names before anyone speaks. Jesus and the Buddha. They are not glowing like in paintings. There are no thunderclaps, no choirs, no dramatic music. They are simply here, solid, real, in a way that is deeper, than anything you can touch with your hands. For a moment, you freeze. Some old habit inside you asks, do I kneel? Do I run? Do I apologize? Do I explain myself? You don't have to. Jesus lifts one hand, the one marked with light, and makes a small, gentle gesture, not a command, an invitation. Come, he says, and his voice sounds like warmth itself, soft but deep, echoing somewhere inside you where you rarely let anyone speak. The Buddha inclines his head slightly in greeting. His silence feels as welcoming as Jesus' words. You walk toward them. Your heartbeat is loud in your chest, but your steps remain steady. As you come closer, you feel something you didn't expect. You don't feel judged. You don't feel measured. You don't feel weighed on some divine scale and found lacking. You just feel seen. You thought that standing in front of Jesus would mean instant exposure of every mistake, every failure, every broken promise. You thought that standing in front of the Buddha would make you feel too emotional, too chaotic, too attached to ever belong near any kind of enlightenment. But now, standing here, you feel something different. Jesus looks at you the way a person looks at someone they truly love when they are hurting. Not with anger, not with disappointment, but with a deep, aching tenderness. His eyes hold all the moments you regret, all the things you wish you had done differently, and yet they do not harden. They soften. The Buddha looks at you as if he can see the patterns behind your pain, the causes and conditions, the fears and misunderstandings that have shaped your reactions. He doesn't excuse any harm, but he also doesn't reduce you to it. In his gaze, you are not a mistake. You are a human being in process. Your voice comes out in a whisper. Why am I here? You came, the Buddha says simply. His voice is quiet and smooth, like water over stone. Perhaps not with words, but you came with your suffering, with your exhaustion, with your question, how much longer can I live like this? You asked, Jesus adds gently. Not in a formal prayer, maybe, but in every night you spent staring at the ceiling, in every time you thought, I wish someone would just understand what's going on inside me. We heard that. I didn't know anyone was listening, you say. We were, Jesus replies. We are, says the Buddha. And we will be, they say together, their voices overlapping for a moment, two different melodies in perfect harmony. The old monk now stands at the edge of the island, still calm, still present. You realize that he has guided you to this place, but the step through the door was yours. It always was. Jesus turns his face toward the glowing tree. This is the place, he says, where your night will begin to speak clearly, where the things that haunt you will finally have words, where your pain will not be locked away in the dark corners of your mind, but will be held gently in our presence. The Buddha rests his hand lightly on the tree's trunk. And this is the place, he says, where you will learn to sit with what you fear inside yourself and see that not all darkness is your enemy. Some of it is simply unlit rooms within you waiting for attention. Your throat feels tight. What do I have to do? You ask. Stay, says the Buddha. Trust, says Jesus. Breathe, the monk adds softly behind you. So you do? You feel your chest rise and fall. You feel your shoulders loosen a little more. You feel the ground under your feet. Even if in your bed, your feet are resting and still, in and out. The leaves of the tree begin to shimmer more brightly, catching a light you cannot see. A soft breeze moves through its branches, even though the air around you doesn't seem to move at all. The breeze carries with it a strange scent. Not flowers, not grass, but the smell of old rooms being opened, of windows that have been shut for years finally letting in fresh air. The monk steps closer and stands beside you, a little behind, like a gentle guardian. The first part of this night, he says quietly, is the Hall of Wounds. A small shiver runs down your spine. The places where I was hurt, you ask. And the places where you hurt others, Jesus answers, his voice sad but tender. The moments you didn't want to remember. The memories you tried to bury, the Buddha adds. The ones that keep returning at night anyway. You are afraid. Of course you are. I don't know if I'm ready, you admit. That's all right, Jesus says. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing. We will walk with you. And we move at the speed of your breath, the Buddha says, not faster. The tree's branches sway once more. The dark hall around the island starts to shift. Shapes emerge in the distance like doorways made of memory and feeling. You sense that behind these doorways live moments you know well, even if you have tried for years not to think about them. You take another long, slow breath. Your body, lying safely in your bed, is heavier now, more relaxed. Your mind is still awake, but a little softer. You are not alone, not in this hall, not in this night. You look at Jesus, you look at the Buddha. You feel the monk's steady presence beside you. All right, you whisper. I'll try. Jesus gives a small nod. That is enough, he says. It has always been enough, the Buddha adds. The hall grows a little darker and a little deeper, like the night itself is taking you gently by the hand. Somewhere ahead, one memory door begins to glow softly, waiting. You recognize it before you know exactly what it is. I know this, you say quietly. I know this moment. Yes, Jesus says softly. This is where we begin. And as you breathe in and out, your body sinking deeper into rest, the first door in the Hall of Wounds slowly starts to open. The first door in the Hall of Wounds begins to glow, and you feel your chest tighten just a little. That's okay. You don't have to force yourself to be brave. You don't have to pretend this is easy. Just notice what is happening inside you. And remember that your real body is still lying safely in your bed. Feel the weight of your head on the pillow. Feel the heaviness in your arms and legs. Notice how the mattress holds you. Without asking anything in return, take a slow breath in and an even softer breath out. Whatever you're about to see, you're not seeing it alone. The glowing door in front of you opens, not with a loud sound, but like a memory you didn't want to think about, suddenly rising to the surface. And then you are there. You find yourself standing in a kitchen from your past. The light is a little too bright, a little too harsh. The kind of yellow that makes everything look more exposed than it really is. There are plates on the table, crumbs, a half-finished meal. A clock ticks loudly on the wall, each second landing like a small hammer. At the table sits a younger you. Your shoulders are a bit hunched. Your eyes flicker between defiance and a silent, desperate wish to be understood. You remember this day. Even if the details are blurry, your body remembers the feeling, that tight, hot knot in your stomach, that sense that whatever you do, it will be wrong. Across from you sits someone important, a parent, a guardian, an adult whose words could build you up or crush you in one sentence. Their face is tired, their jaw is clenched, their eyes are sharper than they need to be. You watch from the side now. You are not inside your younger body. You are standing next to Jesus and the Buddha, observing. Just watch, the Buddha says softly. You do not have to fix it. You do not have to justify anyone. You just have to see. Jesus stands close enough that his presence feels like a warm hand between your shoulder blades. Stay with yourself, he murmurs. This time, you are not alone at the table. The younger, you says something. Maybe you try to explain. Maybe you say, I didn't mean to. Maybe you say, I tried. Maybe you stay silent, staring at your hands because you already know what will follow. The adult's voice rises. The words that come out are heavy and sharp. Accusations, labels, sentences that sound like judgments on your entire existence. You always, what is wrong with you? Why can't you just be like, you remember them? Not every word, but the taste, the feeling of being turned from a person into a problem. Your throat tightens. I hate this, you whisper. We know, Jesus says quietly. We were with you when it happened the first time too. I should be over this by now, you mutter. I'm an adult. Why does this still hurt? The Buddha turns his calm gaze toward you. Pain does not check the calendar, he says. It does not ask how old you are. It waits for safety. Tonight, there is enough safety for it to move. You look at your younger self again. They are trying so hard to be good, to be loved, to not make things worse. They are trying to shrink, to take up less space, to need less so they won't be attacked. You watch the moment where they make a decision, quietly, deep inside. Maybe they're right. Maybe something really is wrong with me. Maybe if I try harder, I'll finally be enough. Time in the kitchen freezes. The adult's mouth is still open, mid-sentence. The younger you is caught between a blink. Jesus steps toward the table. He doesn't touch anyone. He simply stands there, and the whole scene seems to breathe a little easier, even in this paused moment. What would you say to them? He asks you, nodding toward your younger self. If you could send one sentence back through time? Your eyes sting. You walk closer to the table, standing behind your younger self. You see the back of your own small neck, the tension in your shoulders, the way your hands grip each other in your lap. I'd say, your voice breaks, then steadies. I'd say, you're not broken. You are not what these words say you are. Say it, the Buddha encourages gently. Let the air carry it. You take a breath in, and on the breath out, you speak. You are not broken. You tell your younger self. You are not what their words say you are. For a moment, the younger you's eyes flicker, as if they heard something from very far away. Maybe they can't make sense of it, but a tiny piece of the weight on their shoulders loosens. They don't know why. They probably won't remember this consciously, but somewhere inside, the message has landed. The scene begins to move again. The argument continues. The blame, the misunderstanding. In the outer world, nothing changes. The adult doesn't suddenly become wise. They don't take their words back. They don't apologize and hug you and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. The plate stays on the table. The clock still ticks. But now, as you stand here with Jesus and the Buddha, something in you has changed. This is one of your wounds, the monk says softly from behind you. A place where love and pain got tangled, where you decided that to keep love, you had to carry the blame. You watch more scenes now. Each door that opens shows a different chapter of pain. A school hallway where you are laughed at and you decide that your body or your mind or your personality is wrong. A friendship that ends with betrayal and you quietly promise never to trust like that again. A relationship where your needs are used against you and you learn to apologize for having feelings at all. Each time you see your younger self or your past self standing alone. Each time Jesus stands beside them now. The Buddha watches with that same steady gaze, and you, your present self, are given a chance to see not just the wound, but the decision you made in that moment. I am too much. I am not enough. I ruin everything. I am a burden. These are not truths, the Buddha says softly. They are conclusions drawn by a wounded mind trying to make sense of hurt. They have shaped your life, Jesus adds, but they are not the final word about you. As the hall of wounds slowly fades, the scenes become softer, like images dissolving into gentle mist. They're not erased. They're simply no longer the only thing you can see. You find yourself back under the glowing tree, on the small island. Take a breath here. Feel your chest rise. Feel your chest fall. Your body is heavier now, more relaxed. You might already feel sleep tugging at you. It's okay if your attention drifts. You don't have to follow every word. This story will keep holding you like a quiet background presence. The monk looks at you with calm approval. You did something very important, he says. You looked honestly at where you were hurt. Many people run from this their whole lives. And this, Jesus says, is only the first layer. The next hall is quieter, the Buddha adds, but its influence on your life has been enormous. You listen. It is the hall of voices, the monk says, the place where you learn to speak to yourself the way others spoke to you, the place where you became your own jailer. The scene shifts again. The island dissolves into darkness, then reforms as a narrow corridor. The walls are tall and close, made of dark stone that seems to move very slightly, as if it were breathing. At first, there is only silence. Then you hear it, a whisper, then another, then many layered on top of each other, coming from all directions, like echoes bouncing off invisible corners. At first, you can't understand the words. Then they become painfully clear. You're such a failure. Why can't you be like other people? You're too much. You're not enough. You're annoying. You're lazy. You're stupid. No one really wants you around. You'll never change. You're already too late. You wince. These are your own thoughts, the monk says quietly, not accusing, just stating a fact. They sound like other people, you protest weakly. Jesus nods. They began as other people, he says, but at some point, you took their words and made them your own. You thought that if you attacked yourself first, their attacks would hurt less. You thought self-criticism was a form of protection. The Buddha touches the living wall with his fingertips. The surface ripples. Faces appear in the dark stone. Your face in different moments. You see yourself staring in the mirror with disgust. You see yourself lying in bed, unable to move, paralyzed by shame. You see yourself sending a message and then immediately hating yourself for it. You see yourself replaying conversations over and over, calling yourself names for not being better. If anyone talked to a child the way you talk to yourself, the Buddha says softly, you would call it abuse. You feel a mix of shame and sadness. I didn't realize. You start, then stop. Or maybe I did. But I thought I needed this to stay in line, to not become a horrible person. Self-hatred is not holiness, Jesus says gently. It does not make you more loving. It does not make you safer to others. It just breaks your own heart over and over again. The whispers in the corridor grow louder, sensing your attention. You always mess things up. No one would stay if they saw the real you. You're disgusting. Everyone else is handling life better than you. How do I make them stop? You ask, your voice tight. The Buddha shakes his head very slightly. We do not start by silencing them, he says. We start by seeing them as voices, not as truth. Habits of thought, echoes of old pain. When you believe they are reality itself, they rule you. When you see them for what they are, they begin to lose their power. Choose one, Jesus suggests. Just one voice. Turn toward it. You listen. One stands out more than the others. You're not enough, it hisses. You are never enough. You slowly turn to face the direction that voice seems to come from. The wall trembles. From it steps a figure, shaped like you but slightly distorted. The eyes are wide with panic. The mouth is tense. Their whole body vibrates with anxiety. I'm not enough, the figure says. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. You feel an urge to argue, to shout back, yes, I am, or to drown it out with noise. But Jesus puts a gentle hand on your arm. Don't fight it, he says. Listen to it. Ask where it came from. You swallow. Who told you that? You ask the voice-shaped figure. Your voice is shaky, but you manage to keep it soft. The figure hesitates. Everyone, it says. Or, it felt like everyone, family, school, people online, and you. You tell me that all the time. Your chest tightens with guilt. You believe them, the Buddha says, his tone still kind. And then you use their words on yourself, thinking it would keep you safe. If you attack yourself, maybe no one else can surprise you with their judgment. This voice is trying to protect you from hope, from expectation, from disappointment. You look at the figure closely now. Behind the aggression in its words, you see terror. It is not a cruel monster. It is a frightened guard dog, barking at anything that looks like risk. It is so afraid of you being hurt again that it would rather keep you small and miserable forever. You take a deep, slow breath, in and out. I see you, you tell the voice. I see that you're scared. I see that you're trying to protect me. But the way you do it is hurting me. The figure blinks, confused. Hurting you? It repeats. Yes, you say. When you tell me I'm never enough, I stop trying the things that matter to me. I hide, I punish myself, I don't rest, I don't ask for help. I get so tired that I can't feel joy. That's not protection. That's a cage. The Buddha nods slowly. Voices like this need new work, he says. They cannot simply be fired. They have been with you for too long. They will not leave just because you hate them. But you can offer them a different job. You think for a moment. If you want to protect me, you say to the figure, then instead of saying, you're not enough, you can say, you're tired, rest now. Or, this is new, it's okay to be a beginner. Or, you made a mistake, fix it, but don't destroy yourself. Can you try to say these kinds of things instead? The figure trembles. I don't know how, it whispers. We will help, Jesus says. We will practice, the Buddha adds. And you, the monk says gently, will have to be patient. You are unlearning a language you have spoken inside your own mind for many years. The not enough figure slowly steps back into the wall. Its outline becomes softer, less aggressive. The words, I'm not enough, still echo faintly, but they no longer sound as absolute. It's as if the script has been interrupted. One by one, other voices take shape. You're too much. You always ruin everything. No one really likes you. If people knew you, they'd run. Each time, you're given a chance to see the fear behind the words. One voice is terrified of abandonment and thinks being less will save you. Another is terrified of rejection and tries to reject you first. Another is trying to keep you from risks by declaring everything impossible before you start. With each voice, Jesus and the Buddha stand beside you. Sometimes Jesus reminds you, you are already loved even when you are not performing. Sometimes the Buddha reminds you, this is a pattern, not your essence. Patterns can change. You do not fix everything tonight. This is not a magical erasing of all self-criticism. But what does happen is important. You stop believing that these voices are simply you and must always be obeyed. After some time, the whispers in the corridor grow softer. They don't disappear. Minds don't work like that. But the volume turns down. You start to hear something else as well, your own new gentle voice, trying sentences like, it's okay, and I did my best, and I can try again tomorrow. The hall of voices slowly releases you. You find yourself back under the glowing tree once more. The starless sky stretches above you. The island feels familiar now, almost comforting. The tree's leaves glow a little brighter, like they have been fed by your honesty. Notice your body again. Feel how your arms and legs have grown heavier. Maybe your eyelids want to close. You can let them. You don't have to force yourself to stay wide awake. You can drift in and out. Your inner self can keep walking even if your conscious mind begins to float toward sleep. Jesus looks at you with such tenderness, it almost hurts. You have walked through a lot tonight, he says softly. You face memories you wanted to forget. You looked at the way you speak to yourself. You chose truth instead of numbness. That is real courage. The Buddha's voice is calm and gentle. And you discovered, he says, that looking at your pain does not destroy you. It changes you. The monk watches you quietly. There is one more place in this night, he says. The deepest room. The place where shadows live. The parts of you that you are most afraid of. The parts you deny. But also the place where you will see something precious. The truth that even there you are not abandoned. You feel a small flutter of fear. The labyrinth of shadows, the Buddha says. There you will meet your anger, your jealousy, your despair, not to worship them, not to obey them, and not to throw them away, but to understand them, so they no longer rule you from the dark. And there, Jesus adds, you will stand before a mirror that does not lie. It will show you not the mask you hate and not the ideal you chase, but the real you, the one we have loved all along. You take a slow breath in and a long breath out. Part of you is nervous. Part of you is tired. Part of you is curious. All of you is held by the bed beneath you, by the air in your lungs, by the quiet presence of the three figures around you. If sleep comes now, you can let it come. If you are still awake, you can keep listening. There is no wrong way to be here. The night around the island shifts again. The edges of the hall begin to move as if opening into deeper layers of darkness where a new path is waiting. Complex and winding like a labyrinth. You look at Jesus. You look at the Buddha. You feel the monk's steady presence at your back. All right, you whisper, I will go a little further. The tree's leaves rustle in quiet agreement. The path to the labyrinth of shadows begins to form. And as your body sinks even deeper into rest, as your breathing becomes slower and softer, the night gently takes you by the hand and leads you toward the next part of your journey. The path to the labyrinth of shadows forms slowly, as if the night is drawing its own doorway in front of you. Before you step onto it, take a moment to remember your body again. Feel the mattress under you. Feel the weight of your legs, the softness of your pillow. Notice how your chest rises and falls. If your eyes want to close, let them. You don't need to see the pictures clearly. You can just listen or even half listen. Your inner self knows the way now. The island with the glowing tree remains behind you, a quiet anchor. Jesus and the Buddha walk beside you as you move toward the deeper darkness. The monk follows a few steps behind, silent and calm. Soon, you arrive at the entrance of the labyrinth. The walls rise high on both sides, woven from something that looks like shadow and stone mixed together. They shimmer faintly, like starlight that forgot how to become stars and turned into walls instead. The opening is narrow, just wide enough for one person to walk through at a time. This is the labyrinth of shadows, the Buddha says gently. Here you will see the parts of yourself that you fear the most. Your anger, your jealousy, your bitterness, your secret wishes to escape, the versions of you that you've tried to deny. And here, Jesus adds, you will also see something you have not allowed yourself to believe, that even there, in the deepest place, you are not abandoned. You hesitate at the threshold. What if I find something horrible in there? You ask quietly. Something that proves I'm truly bad inside? Jesus looks at you with steady, unwavering eyes. Whatever you find, he says, I have already seen it, and I did not turn away. The Buddha nods. Whatever you find, he says, is the result of causes and conditions. It is not a curse. It is not your essence. It is something that arose and can be understood and can be transformed. You take a slow breath in and a long, soft breath out. Your body on the bed is safe. Your heart, even if it is hurting, is held. You step into the labyrinth. The path is narrow, forcing you to move slowly. The air is cooler here, not icy, but sharp enough to make you more awake, more aware. Your footsteps are soft. The walls absorb most sound, so the loudest thing you hear at first is your own heartbeat. As you walk, images appear on the walls, not full scenes like before, more like snapshots. Flashes of you in moments you don't like to remember, not because someone hurt you, but because you hurt someone else. You see your own face twisted in anger, saying words meant to wound. You see yourself slamming a door, cutting someone off completely. You see yourself rolling your eyes, mocking, belittling. You see yourself choosing silence when speaking up would have helped someone else just because you were tired or scared or didn't want the hassle. Your shoulders tense. I don't want to look at this, you say. I know I've done bad things. I don't want to feel it all again. The Buddha's voice is calm. You are not here to drown in guilt, he says. You are here to see the whole of you, the capacity to hurt and the capacity to heal. Denying one or the other keeps you split and stuck. Jesus walks closer to one of the images on the wall. It shows you saying something cruel to a person who trusted you. Their face looks shocked, wounded. You feel sick. I knew what I was doing, you whisper. I wanted to hurt them in that moment. I can't say I didn't. Jesus doesn't flinch. Honesty about your own harm, he says softly, is not the end of love. It is a doorway. Repentance, the Buddha says, is simply the act of turning around, seeing clearly and then changing direction. You cannot turn away from harm you refuse to admit. You swallow hard. I don't deserve forgiveness for that, you say. I knew it was wrong. Forgiveness is not pretending it was nothing, Jesus replies. It is not saying it didn't matter. It is saying, even this will not be the end of your story. Even this can become part of your learning, your compassion, your transformation. And sometimes, the Buddha adds, forgiveness includes accepting that some people may never trust you again, that some consequences remain. You cannot control that, but you can choose what kind of person you become from this point forward. You stand there, feeling the weight of your worst moments, not as weapons to torture yourself with, but as truths you will no longer look away from. I'm sorry, you say quietly, looking at the image of the person you hurt. I'm so sorry. The wall doesn't miraculously change. The past remains the past, but something inside you shifts. Your apology isn't just a way to escape guilt. It becomes a seed, small, humble, but real, of your desire to live differently. You keep walking. More shadows appear. Moments when you envied someone so much that you wanted them to fail. Moments when you enjoyed seeing someone else embarrassed. Moments when you lied to make yourself look better. Moments when you gave up on your own dreams, then secretly resented those who kept going. Each time, you feel the temptation to say, I was tired, or I had my reasons, or they deserved it. And sometimes, those things may even be partially true. You were tired, you were hurt, you were scared. But tonight, in this labyrinth, you allow a deeper truth to stand beside them. You also had a choice. And sometimes, you chose in a way that added more pain to the world instead of less. Jesus doesn't shame you for this. The Buddha doesn't leave you because of this. Instead, they stay. I have always walked through human darkness, Jesus says, not just the darkness of what was done to you, but the darkness of what you do. I did not come for the spotless. I came for the ones who need help learning how to love. When you see your own capacity for harm clearly, the Buddha says, you can finally understand others with compassion instead of judgment. I know this place, you can say. I have been here too. After many turns in the labyrinth, you arrive at a small open space, a chamber at the center. In the middle of this chamber stands a mirror. It is tall and narrow, framed in metal that looks almost black, with a subtle, shifting sheen. The surface of the mirror is not perfectly flat. It moves like calm water, reflecting not only light, but also something deeper. You hesitate. I don't like mirrors, you admit. I usually just use them to criticize myself, or to check if I look acceptable enough. This mirror is not for that, the Buddha says. It will not show you only the surface you obsess over. It will show you how we see you. You look at Jesus. How you see me, you ask. Like some idealized version, some perfectly pure spiritual version? Jesus shakes his head lightly. No, he says, we see you more clearly, not less. No exaggeration, no hiding, your light and your darkness, your beauty and your brokenness, your fear and your courage, the whole truth. And the whole truth is, we have never stopped loving you in any of it. Your heart beats faster. What if I don't like what I see, you ask? Then you will have met yourself honestly, the Buddha replies. And that is the beginning of real change and real compassion. You step closer to the mirror. At first, the surface shows only blurred movement, like foggy glass. Then slowly, very slowly, it begins to clear. You see a face, your face, but not the way you are used to seeing it in rushed moments, brushing your teeth, checking for flaws, judging, adjusting. You see yourself as if you were a stranger sitting across from you, someone you might be curious about, someone you might feel for just a little if you heard their story. You see the tiredness under your eyes. You see the small lines of worry on your forehead. You see the way your jaw tenses, ready for criticism. You see the slight curve of your shoulders as if you're always bracing for impact. But the mirror doesn't stop there. Behind your reflection, other images appear, layered and transparent. You see yourself being kind when no one was watching. You see yourself comforting a friend or a child or a stranger. You see yourself getting out of bed on days when getting up felt impossible. You see yourself doing small acts of care, washing dishes, sending a message, making someone tea, when you were exhausted. You see your failures, you see your efforts, you see your selfishness, you see your generosity. All of it is there, together. This is you, Jesus says softly. Not the image you try to sell, not the monster you call yourself in your worst moments, just you, a human being with a heart that has been hurt and that has also hurt others and that still wants to love. You feel tears in your eyes. I don't know how to love this person, you whisper. I only know how to judge or how to ignore or how to demand perfection. The Buddha stands on one side of you, Jesus on the other. In the mirror, you see them too, slightly behind you, like two different kinds of light surrounding your reflection. You start small, the Buddha says. You do not force yourself to feel big waves of self-love. You begin with small acts of kindness, choosing to speak gently to yourself once, choosing to rest when your body is begging, choosing to say, I made a mistake, but I can learn, instead of, I am a mistake. And you remember, Jesus adds, that love did not start with you and will not end with you. You are not the only one holding yourself. Love is larger than you. You live inside it, even when you forget. You watch your reflection and notice something else. You notice that your eyes, even when they are tired, still carry a spark, a tiny, stubborn light that has not gone out, even after everything. A part of you that refuses to fully give up, no matter how often you say you're done. That light, Jesus says, is why I have never given up on you. That spark, the Buddha adds, is your capacity to awaken, to see clearly, to live differently. Even a small spark can start a gentle fire of transformation if you tend to it. You rest your hand lightly against your own chest, both here in the labyrinth and in your bed. Feel your heartbeat, slow, steady, doing its best, moment after moment. I don't promise to never hurt anyone again, you say quietly. I don't trust myself enough for that. I'm afraid I'll fall back into old patterns. You will, sometimes, the Buddha says honestly. Habit is strong, but each time you become aware, you can choose again. You can apologize. You can repair where possible. You can adjust. That is the path. I don't know how to carry all of this, you admit. My wounds, my mistakes, my shadows, my hope. It's so much. You were never meant to carry it alone, Jesus says. That is the lie the darkness told you. It's all on you. No one will help. You must fix yourself before you can be loved. He steps closer to your reflection, and for a moment, you see something beautiful. In the mirror, his wounded, glowing hands rest lightly on your shoulders. Let me carry this with you, he whispers. Not instead of you. You are still responsible for your choices, but with you. You are not abandoned to your own strength. the Buddha places a hand lightly over your heart, just above where your real heart is, beneath your blanket. And each time you breathe with awareness, he says, each time you pause instead of react, each time you turn toward truth instead of denial, you're not alone in that either. Awareness itself is a form of company. We are there. The mirror begins to soften, the image of your face fading back into a gentle, rippling surface. You step back. Is this the end? You ask, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. Part of you wants to keep walking. Part of you is very tired. It is the end of this journey for tonight, the monk says. He is standing at the edge of the chamber now, as if he has always been there. The labyrinth will still exist. The hall of wounds will still exist. The hall of voices will still exist, but now you know the way. You can visit them in smaller steps anytime you need. And you can also rest, Jesus adds. You don't have to heal everything in one night. Deep change, the Buddha says, is made of many small steps. Tonight, you took several. That is more than enough. The labyrinth around you starts to dissolve. The walls melt into darkness. The chamber fades. The mirror fades. The ground under your feet turns soft and indistinct for a moment, then becomes the familiar island with the glowing tree. You're back in the great hall under the starless sky. The tree looks brighter now, not blinding, just steady. Its leaves glow like 100 small lanterns. The air feels warmer, richer, as if your honesty, your willingness to look, has fed this place. Notice your body, the monk says gently, right now. Feel how heavy you are on the bed. Notice if your breath is slower. Maybe your hands feel warm. Maybe your feet feel distant, relaxed. If your thoughts are drifting, that's all right. You don't have to remember every word. Your heart remembers the important parts. Jesus steps closer. You walked through your wounds, he says. You listened to your inner voices. You faced your shadows. You saw yourself through our eyes. That is a lot. Be gentle with yourself in the days to come. The Buddha nods. Do not turn this night into another reason to attack yourself, he says. Do not say, I had a deep experience now, I must be perfect. That is just the old voice in new clothes. Instead say, now I know a little more, I can begin again softly. The monk smiles. Your healing will not be a straight line, he says. You will have days when you forget everything you felt tonight. Days when you believe every cruel voice again. Days when your wounds feel just as raw as before. Those days do not cancel this night. They are simply part of being human. You can always return. How do I return? You ask sleepily. Without this whole vision, without you standing in front of me like this? You return, the Buddha says, every time you pause and notice, I am in pain. Every time you sit quietly for a moment and feel your breath. Every time you say to yourself, this hurts, and I want to respond with kindness instead of violence. That is enough. You return, Jesus says, every time you dare to believe even a little that you are not walking alone. When you whisper, help me, even if you don't know exactly who you are talking to. When you say, stay with me in your mind. I hear that. The huge hall begins to dim, not in a threatening way, but like a theater at the end of a story. The tree's light softens, becoming less like a bright lamp and more like a candle left burning in a safe place. You will forget parts of this, the monk says. That is normal. But something will remain, Jesus adds, a small warmth in your chest, a softer way of speaking to yourself. A new question, What if I am not as alone as I feel? A new habit, the Buddha finishes, of noticing instead of numbing, of breathing instead of running, of turning toward your own heart instead of away from it. The island, the tree, the figures around you, they all begin to blur now as if seen through half-closed eyes. Sleep is very close. Before everything fades, you hear one last thing, two voices together in perfect harmony. You are not alone in your darkness, Jesus and the Buddha say. We walk with you. Even when you forget us, we do not forget you. You exhale, long, deep. When you open your eyes, you are back in your room. The ceiling is just a ceiling again. The shadows are just shadows. The sounds outside are simple. Maybe a car in the distance, a heater humming, the soft quiet of the night. For a moment, you wonder, was all of that real or just imagination? Then you feel something in your chest, a small, gentle warmth, a sense that your pain has been seen, a feeling that somehow there is more space inside you than before. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to name it. You can just let it be there. You turn onto your side or sink more deeply into the position you're already in. Your pillow welcomes the shape of your head. Your blanket rests over you like a soft, protective weight. Some of the old voices might try to wake up again. This didn't change anything. You're still the same. Nothing really helps. But they sound a little weaker now, a little less convincing. Somewhere behind them, another voice whispers, I am here, and I am not alone, not anymore. You place a hand on your heart, quietly, almost silently. You say, to yourself, to the night, to whoever is listening, stay with me, even when I sleep. And the night answers, not in words, but in the way your body finally lets go. Your breath slows, your muscles release, your mind softens and drifts. Somewhere beyond your dreams, in a hall without walls, under a starless sky, a tree still glows gently. Under that tree, two figures sit in silence, watching, waiting, holding you in a love that doesn't end when you close your eyes. You sink into deep, healing sleep. And for the first time in a long time, your darkness feels a little less lonely,